Are you overwhelmed by all the exercises you can do at the gym? Do you want to know which exercises to pick for your training plan?
Let us show you 6 essential movements that should be the foundation for every workout. There are 6 movement patterns we deem to be essential and will cover the majority of your strength training needs. Those are squats, hinges, horizontal push and pulls, vertical push and pulls.
These movement patterns are able to recruit your biggest muscle groups and through effective loading are even able to work on your core musculature. Let us show you examples for every movement pattern with and without equipment, as well as bi- and unilateral ways of execution.
Squats. This movement pattern emphasizes knee extension and hip extension to a varying degree. It works on your quads and on your glutes. Depending on the angle of your upper body, you work your quads more, like in a front or a goblet squat, or your glutes, like in a low bar back squat. They always work together, meaning both will always be working during the exercise. The first exercise for this pattern is obvious, a regular squat with or without weight. Powerful unilateral moves would be step-ups, lunges or split squats, also with or without weight.
Hinges.
Here you work predominantly on your hamstrings, glutes and lower back muscles, the erectors. Imagine your hip as the hinge here. Everything else, especially your low back, should be stable. Good exercises to work on your hinge would be the conventional deadlift or a good morning. You can also do this without weight, but it may be hard to make it heavy enough since your low back can handle a lot of weight. That's why we would include the Nordic hamstring curl in this movement pattern, as it puts a strong emphasis on your hamstrings and glutes. You do not need any external weight to make this hard because it is from the get-go.
Horizontal push.
Pushing something away from you works on your pectorals, shoulders and triceps. A bench press would be a good exercise. Without weight, you can do push-ups or dips. Unilateral exercises would be dumbbell presses or incline single-arm push-ups. A great exercise not only to work on your shoulders, triceps and pecs.
Horizontal pulls.
Pulling yourself towards something is a great way to develop your mid and upper back as well as your biceps. My favorite unilateral exercise would be single arm rows. You can get quite low with your upper body. This is a good thing because the more parallel you get to the ground, the more range of motion you get. And this means more recruitment for your latissimus. The lats are the ones that give you wings. If you're able to bend over enough, a barbell row would be a great example of a bilateral exercise. Another example for horizontal pulls would be inverted rows. Equipment-free variants are hard to come by, but if you have a table, you can improvise doing inverted rows underneath that.
Vertical push.
If you push something up, your delts and triceps will do most of the work here. Both the weighted bi- and unilateral variants are also a test for your core. You want to stay as tight as possible and prevent yourself from leaning back at all costs. If you're having trouble with that, just sit down. Equipment-free exercises would be handstand push-ups, first with a sofa, later without. You probably would not need a unilateral variant here.
Vertical pulls.
That's the pattern where your lats will shine. They do the majority of the work throughout the whole range of motion, together with your biceps and parts of your upper back. Pull-ups are a great way to work in this movement pattern, and if you can do more than 3 sets of 10, you probably would want to put some external weight around you. If a bodyweight pull-up is yet too hard, you can work with a band or a box, or work on lat pull-downs. Something that would work your lats, but is not as obvious, would be ab rollouts. Try to combine these with horizontal pulls, and your first bodyweight pull-up is just a matter of time and patience.
Now we discussed all the movement patterns, they will cover most of your needs.
Things we would advise you to include would be something for your rear delt, like reverse flies, and an anti-rotational core exercise like pull-up presses, like we discussed in our previous video.
Everything else is pretty much optional. For example, you can always throw in isolation work for calves, biceps and triceps.
But remember, you don't need much of them because they are covered from the bigger exercises we talked about.
But what now? If you want to know how to build an effective program out of these, simply subscribe to this channel and we will cover that in one of our next videos.